Most couples think health problems, they first show up in the doctor's offices or gym memberships, but more often they show up in the marriage first with tension, distance, irritability, and exhaustion.
So today we're talking about health the way it actually works: body, heart, soul, and how your Enneagram type reveals where you drift under stress and how you find your way back to wholeness.
Hi, friends.
Hey.
Welcome back to another episode. This is our Enneagram focused episode.
Yep.
And we're talking today all about health. But we're not talking about just, green juice and like getting your steps in. Because
No, that's important.
Yeah, because it doesn't just impact our physical body, right? It's also about our emotional and spiritual and how they all kind of work together.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when we've discussed in our last episode that when one area is ignored, marriage just kind of feels, it's just like totally off. And like, I think one of the words that we used was like unhinged, and it just feels
like it's disconnected.
That's
it doesn't
the word
feel
that
right.
I was actually looking for. And so really
unhinged is kind of a different.
Unhinged is a little chaotic.
That's a little different.
So what we love about the Enneagram is that it's really going to show us where each type tends to kind of drift when we're under stress, and how really to kind of return back to wholeness as it pertains to health.
Yeah, and remember, we're not diagnosing here. This is just about awareness. This is not about shame. We're not doing that because health looks different for each type. And that's the brilliance of the Enneagram. It looks different, and these episodes are all about helping each type of personality understand an important topic. That's why we continue to do it. We will always continue to do it because everybody absorbs and processes important things differently. And so this kind of helps with that. And so this is the goal. The goal is to notice, nurture, and then grow. That's the whole point of us putting this out there is let's take notice of these. We were calling them pillars of health, right? And then let's nurture them and then move in the direction of growth. But each type looks at it differently. There are some that want to strive for, we're going to be the best we can be. There's others that are just not approaching health in the same way. And that's not necessarily, when you understand that a lot of it may have to do with just how you in your personality look at this, it will help you adjust accordingly so that, because when there are important things that it doesn't matter your personality, that it's still important across the board, it's good to understand how you can then make adjustments so that you understand it as important and then begin to process it.
And one of the things, as you were speaking, it reminded me of our last episode when you really talked about like pace and comparison. That's why we love the Enneagram so much, is because as you know more about yourself and about your spouse, it's kind of helps like take the pressure off of that pace and comparison, because it's like, if like you're a type 1, so you may tend to run at more of like it might look, well, it can look two different ways. It can probably look really fast and like just hitting goals and achieving, or it can also look a little bit slower because you're not going to want to move on to the next step until one's
this
perfected.
Is complete and done. Yeah.
Yeah. So knowing that about your spouse and about, any relationship in your life is just so valuable. Again, we can't stress the importance of knowing self and then knowing others at like a more of a deeper level, not just like, oh, what do you do? Like, and why do you do that? It's like, this is like, who are you and what is motivating you and what's driving you to do the things. And that's why we love the Enneagram so much, and how it impacts our physical, emotional, and spiritual health is just so powerful.
This is going to be a good episode.
It is going to be a great episode.
All right. We're going to jump in.
Every episode is great.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we think. But I mean, maybe we're kind of biased. But anyway, okay. These are all reminders. Okay, here we go. We're going to jump in. Type 1, you are the reformer. And so in physical health, You're going to be, your tension lives in your body, like in your jaw, your shoulders, right? And you're going to maybe struggle with resting or struggle with slowing down. And so an area of growth for you as a 1 is try to do movements that release that tension, release that control, like stretching or walking or even breath work. You seem like those, it's and it's like that line that goes up.
It's the square breathing.
Yeah, exactly. The square. See, you're amazing. Yeah.
So next we're going to move into like the emotional health of a type 1. So they're going to kind of like, they're going to have like this repressed anger, which can kind of lead into like quiet resentment.
Yeah.
Their inner critic, we've talked about that before on previous episodes. It's that voice that's inside of them. They only have one, whereas the type 6 has an inner committee. But that inner critic runs really loud. So their voices, their negative voices, most of the time are really just berating them. And it's really challenging for them. So really an area of growth in their emotional health is naming their feelings without fixing them.
Cool. Okay, sure.
It's also kind of hard sometimes for even a type 1 to name their feelings because that critic is so loud that it's like, if you name it, then that's bad and that's wrong.
Yeah.
And so that can be kind of a challenge. So one of the things that you really found helpful was one of those emotional wheels from a therapist. And you can even get one on Amazon and just Google or look on Amazon for emotional. I think it's called an emotional wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it is it's a wheel and it names all of the different emotions. And
So
that's
helpful.
really good for someone that's even feeling stuck on being able to name their feelings and emotions.
It's very helpful. I actually, bringing that up, I'm like, I'm going to pull that thing out again because it's very helpful.
There's multiple types that are actually really, they have a difficult time naming their feelings and emotions. And they're usually in that body triad. So,
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other tangent that we're not going into.
Yeah, we're not doing that right now.
But next for the type 1, for their spiritual health, they can really kind of confuse that spiritual aspect of like holiness with perfection.
Oh my gosh,
so
yes.
instead of just being holy and set apart, it becomes like this like
holy means perfection. Like I have to do it this way.
Work-based.
Yeah.
And so really an area for growth for the type 1 in their spiritual health is really resting in grace and really letting go of that performance.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. And ones, remember this, you don't have to earn goodness. You already belong. And so for a 1, that is something that's really good to remember.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yep.
Type 2 is the helper. So really for the type 2, their physical health, they're going to really ignore their body signals because they're so busy caring for others.
Yep.
It's like they could be actually feeling emotionally or physically depleted, but they're not going to even acknowledge that because for one, that would mean that they would actually have to voice their concern.
Yeah.
But they're so busy caring for others and they don't want the attention on themselves. So burnout really sneaks up on them super quietly.
Very, very, yep.
An area for growth in the type 2's physical health could be nourishment and getting quality sleep and really getting that sleep without guilt, because sometimes they have a tendency to
sleep equals lazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't like settle enough.
Yeah.
You know, we love our type 2s, but we know a couple of type 2s that they very rarely get enough sleep because they're so busy doing.
Yeah. And, you know, we always talk about, or maybe we haven't talked, we talk about our last episode, is that each of these pillars of health, when you're not taking care of even just one, it leaks out into the other. And so you have like a type 2, like especially with sleep and stuff like that, it'll spill over to now affecting your emotional state. So for you 2s, you may be like over giving or under asking. That's something that a 2 is absolutely going to do. And you'll feel those feelings of being unappreciated, but not saying it. And so that's something that's going to be rumbling around in your head, in your heart, which is just not something that you want to carry. So growth in an area for you 2s is going to be naming the needs that you have, but doing it in a clear way, like making note and vocalizing those needs, because I know you 2s, you don't think you have needs, but you do have needs, but you don't ever talk about it. So that's something that you really want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But then that also goes over into your spiritual health, where you as a 2 are really going to be connecting service instead of being with God. In other words, serving God is going to be more important to you than being with God. And that's not necessarily a healthy place to be. And so an area of growth for you would be to receive love before giving it, right? God loves you exactly the way you are. That's the reality of God. And it's what would life be like if you just received before giving?
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the hardest thing for the type 2 also is that it's like they're serving like so much instead of just like that being present. So it's like they may be volunteering or over volunteering at church instead of actually like nurturing their soul.
Their own relationship, right?
Yes.
With the Lord.
And so it's like that can be really difficult. And just a reminder for the type 2s, you are loved, not just useful.
Oh, there's some that aren't hearing that.
Yeah.
I
mean, you are loved, period.
Yeah. Period. Like that's the end.
Yes,
you are loved.
Not because you're just useful or the things that you do. And I think that even within the church, I think that it's really hard because they tend to overextend themselves on all the serving teams and that kind of stuff. But it's like they forget that it's like their value is actually just in who they are and as a human and as a person, not because of all the committees that you're on and all the serving that you do and all the things that you build and create.
For a 2, your identity is not found in your serving; it's found in your relationship with God. Your identity is locked in His presence, not in all of the things that you do.
Yeah, so good.
Anyway, okay, 3s. On to the 3s. The achiever. The 3 wants to get stuff done, and they will get it done. Okay, and so for on the physical side, this is someone, 3s, you're going to push through exhaustion. Just saying that, that's not that's not a good thing to push through. But then a 3 could also be treating their body like a productivity tool. Like this is your tool to use to achieve the goal that you have decided. But it's important with your physicality to rest. Remember this is wisdom. Rest is wisdom, right? That is, it's not weakness. This is a wise thing to do, to rest your soul. We are stewards of this body. We are stewards of this body, and rest is one of the things that you absolutely need. And it's not a weakness. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's so good. Next, for the type 3s of their emotional health, they're going to kind of disconnect from your feelings, and
because it's just a go, right?
Yes,
it's just
because it's all about like the end goal and like the achieving part. And it's like, it really, because of that disconnect, they struggle with that vulnerability. And so an area of growth for them in their emotional health is really slowing down enough to feel. And again, this is where that feeling wheel may come in handy.
Big deal. Yep.
And so next we have the spiritual health, and they're going to be kind of like the type 2s in a sense, but they're going to be more performance. And so they can perform in their spirituality to where it's like really them getting deep and authentic is going to be a challenge for them, because sometimes the type 3s can be kind of like, I've heard this in the Enneagram world, they're like the chameleon. So they can kind of put on a persona of whoever they're around to match and meet what they feel like they should be. And that's successful to them.
So a 3 would see whatever they're trying to be would look like, a successful whatever would look like, and then they would just copy that and then perform in such a way to make sure that as they're being observed, that's what people are getting, like, oh my gosh, wow, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So let me give like a practical example of a type 3 in a spiritual context of where they could be performing in a public prayer. Like they could actually pull really good points from other people that they've heard praying previously, and they would mimic and copy that person's prayer without it actually being authentically theirs and authentically matching what they want to be communicating from a spiritual standpoint. They could just be in that performance. And I'm not saying that all 3s do that, but that could be a struggle
it's
for
a vulnerability.
them.
Yeah.
Yep. So with that, a growth point for them is authenticity over that image. Wow. So really making that prayer super
real.
Authentic
Absolutely.
Over, being like portrayed as the best in the group, because it's all about being most
absolutely
successful.
So 3s, remember this: you are loved for who you are, not what you produce. Now, you may have just heard us say something similar for the 2. You have to understand the difference. The 2 is serving; they're doing something. The 3 is producing something. So there's a result, right? I've produced this amazing this. Well, the 2 is doing this, but you as the 3 is producing this. So understand the difference. Your love for you, not the thing that you've now created and produced. And that's really important.
It's serving and helping someone. And the difference for the type 3 is that it's more of like a success or an achievement. And so
look at what I did, God.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're going to move on to the type 4, who is the individualist. Now, for their physical health, this is really key. If you are married to a type 4, or if you are a type 4, your physical health, your energy really fluctuates with your emotions. So really kind of paying attention to that.
Tied really tightly together.
Could be really helpful, because your tendency is also to kind of neglect that like routine. And so helping the type 4 to kind of like regulate into a routine, and also like trying not to fluctuate so much in those emotions, because it's like one day you could be like super health conscious, and then the next day it's like you're like, oh my gosh, the world is going to end, so why do I need to be healthy? And so it's like really kind of helping to stay consistent is a really great area for growth for those type 4s.
Which then leaks over into the emotional side, right? Because you're going to feel deeply. That's the reality. But sometimes as a 4, you're going to get stuck there and not kind of move on from there, and you will have these this longing to be understood, which is understandable, but it's important as a growth area to ground the feelings that you're having, which are all good and they're all real, and you're feeling those, but to ground them in truth, into something that is tangibly true. That's one of those things that's really important, because when you go to the spiritual side, the 4 is really drawn to depth. I mean, just let's go deep, but it can fall victim to spiritualizing sadness, like that is a place to go to. The how to grow from that, though, is to have hope alongside beauty. I'm sorry, not beauty, which you could have that too, but
yeah, I could because they do see the world like from like an artistic like point of view.
Yep.
So it's like really finding hope in the beauty and maybe even like the honesty of like the realities of the world.
Absolutely. And so that's one of those growth areas for the 4 that'll be important and healthy across all of those pillars of their health.
Yeah, it's so good. Reminding the type 4, like your feelings matter.
Yep.
They matter, period. But they don't get the final say.
That's a big deal.
And so it's like, again, like going back to like the locking in on that truth. And it's like, that's so pivotal for the type 4. And I feel like the type 4, I don't want to call out any of the pillars as being more important than any of the others. But I do think that for the type 4, really paying attention to that spiritual pillar is really helpful for the type 4 because it reminds them of who they are, whose they are.
Yep.
And it keeps them locked into that like ultimate truth.
Yep.
You know, and kind of less reliant upon their feelings and more reliant upon someone greater than them.
Because 4s don't hear us or anyone say that your feelings are wrong or bad because they're not. They are those that are naturally occurring in your body, soul, and spirit. The muscle to grow is connecting those to things that are true. That's a big deal. So having them is fine. How you process them and then whittle them down to truth, that's the important part.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about a type 4, and this is just a side note, because I think sometimes the type 4s can kind of get a bad rap as being like more emotional or whatnot. But it's like the one thing that I love about the type 4 is that they are actually in tune with their emotions. They don't need the emotion.
They don't need the wheel.
The emotion wheel.
No.
You know,
No.
it's like
they are the wheel.
Yeah. It's like they probably invented the wheel.
Yeah. It's probably a great point.
But it's like, but that's what I love. And it's like, and if you are hanging around a type 4, it's like really allow their feelings and emotions to almost kind of be contagious to you, especially if you're more of like one of the stronger types, you know, maybe like a type 8 or a type 3. It's like those more aggressive types. Hanging out with a type 4 can actually be really healing for you because you can really learn a lot from them.
No, that's a great point. Moving on to our next type, which is our type 5. It's the investigator. And the investigator, you type 5s, you in the physical side of things, really disconnect from the body because you are a lot of in the mind, right? A lot of really concentrating on energy, and you may experience a low energy from isolation. And so it's important that you think about when wanting to gain growth in the physical side of your health is movement plus embodiment. Be a part of it, right? Get moving, but also be a part of it, right? Like, and so that's because as a 5, you're so concerned with your drain. You're so concerned with your drain, but then it hinders you from really getting out and living parts of your life. And it's important. It's important to know that there are some things in the physical that you can do physically that could help you regulate how that happens.
Yeah, I think, you know, physical health is probably really important for a type 5 because it will help them to recognize that it's like they can actually recharge their battery. Their battery with like the positive endorphins that they get from working out and moving their body.
Absolutely.
So yeah. I think it could be really interesting for a type 5 to kind of like experiment even with like the times of the day that they do work out and find what works best for you on that energy level and that battery, because you might want to work out later in the evening because it might give you those positive endorphins to kind of get through the rest of the day, or you may find that earlier in the morning is better because you are not concerned about the loss of energy on that battery scale.
Do you think for a type 5 that changing their schedule, like their physical like workout schedule, to benefit the energy they need to do particular days would benefit them? Or do you think a 5 needs the consistency of always doing it?
I would say experiment and be open to whatever it is that matches and works for you. Or the type 5s can research it on their own. Because they love
we know
they
the type
love,
5.
They love to research and dig into the details and the facts.
Yeah.
And so, that's the one thing that I love about a type 5 is that they are a wealth of information. Yeah. And so they actually probably already know all of this.
It's true. They can teach us. Let us know.
Right.
Hit us up.
And so for the type 5s with their emotional health, they can tend to kind of withhold those emotions because they're so scared of those emotions kind of like taking more energy from them. Yep. And they can really struggle to express their needs. So an area for growth for them is sharing before fully figuring it out. You don't have to know all the details and all the facts and have the final draft and the end of the story before actually sharing. You can actually share your first or second draft like we've talked about in other episodes.
That is a stretch goal for a 5.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It is really hard for them.
Oh my goodness. But you can do it. That's great.
So also for the spiritual health, you know a lot about God.
Yeah.
But I would challenge you to, kind of start seeing how you can experience God on a more of a relational level.
Yeah, that's good.
Away from the facts and more into the heart.
Yeah. Because it's just about, about. We know a 5.
Yeah.
And there's some depth in knowledge.
Yeah.
And that'd be a huge step. And so for 5s, remember this. Your needs, what you need, 5, look at me in the eyes. Your needs are not a burden.
Yeah.
So remember that. And you're not a burden. So your needs are valid, real, and should be addressed as well. So remember that, not a burden.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, our type 6s, which are the loyalists. We love our type 6s. Yep. Their physical health. So their physical health is really interesting because they have a lot of anxiety, which lives in their nervous system. And so they can really hold a lot of their tension and they can struggle with sleep and stuff like that. So really, I think for them, really coming up with a great workout routine would be really good to kind of help settle that nervous system and kind of work out some of that anxiety. And also like an area for growth could be like really creating those like calming rhythms, like what are the things that like really like soothe you and calm you down and like really kind of anchor you back into who you are naturally and calming that inner committee.
Yep. But on the emotion, see, for the 6, I really feel like the 6, the emotional and physical are really not that they're not all tied together, but in this particular, especially because it's anxiety being a mental reality, also tied very much with the spiritual dynamic and its effect on physical. Just for this particular number, I feel that it's especially important on concentrate on the health of all 3.
I would say like their pillars are very like you need to pay attention to all 3 pillars with extreme like effort.
Yeah, because it's really going to be a detriment to the other 2 when you're not taking care of one or the right.
And again, we've talked about like in our previous episode about how when one of these pillars is out of whack, it can cause like relational havoc, like on your marriage, friendships, kids, family, whatever.
Across the board.
But for a type 6, it can kind of really throw a lot of things out of whack because now all of a sudden your body is going to physically be responding to stress and anxiety in a way that other types may not be feeling. And then it's like, and then your emotional, like that inner committee can really kind of be working overtime on the negative thoughts if you're not kind of getting those negative thoughts in control. And then your spiritual life begins to kind of unravel because now it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, can I trust anyone? And is everyone against me? And like, what does God see about me? And like, oh my gosh, I must be doing something bad because God's not near, so it's like you start really overthinking too much. And so kind of getting out of your head and more present in your body, I think is key for a type 6.
Yeah, because on the emotional side for the 6, you could experience like this worst case thinking, right? It's kind of the circle of the drain. You're circling the drain. It's always worst case scenario, and overly seeking reassurance that everything's going to be okay, and you're so focused on is everything going to be okay? So one of the areas of growth is really trusting inner wisdom, especially if you're connected spiritually. If you have a spiritual foundation, it's so important to dive deeper into what you know to be true, especially if you have a faith background and you're anchored in faith. Because on the spiritual side, you can it's kind of a weird way of putting it, but you can kind of outsource your trust. Like,
yeah, it's good.
You're looking to, okay, where can I find trust? Because you're not anchored internally. You're not anchored into truly who is truth. He is truth. God is truth. And so a growth on the spiritual side for you 6s is anchoring in steady faith, not the wavy faith, not the, what am I going to trust in this time? No, it's, you know who to trust because your faith is now steady. And so for a 6, if you really exercise those muscles of honest, genuine faith, it will do wonders to the rest of your pillars.
Yeah. One tip that I think for a type 6 when it comes to like the spiritual and emotional side of things is really getting a strong mentor that you can trust. I think is really helpful for the type
step.
6.
Yeah.
So that they can kind of help you to like realign and find your faulty beliefs and the places that it's like you're kind of struggling with that trust, where it's like you are, not feeling safe anymore. They can remind you that it's like you are safe and that it's like it's okay. And so a strong mentor, especially that's like faith-based, is amazing for a type 6, a safe place to talk.
Yep.
And so again, we're going to remind the type 6, we're always going to keep on reminding the type 6 that you're safe, even when certainty is missing.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the thing, is that it's like, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe.
Yep.
Like the world.
In the midst of it all, you're safe.
Yes. The world's not against you. Like you're not going to be harmed.
Yeah. Nope, that's good. Type 7s, you are the enthusiast. You know who you are. But in your physical health, you may experience some kind of overstimulation plus some burnout. That's a real, okay. Yeah, we've seen some, definitely some resonation over here. Anyway, and a 7 is going to lend themselves to avoiding stillness. Go, do something fun, do all the things. And so I guess the obvious growth in response to those things is resting without escape. The purpose of the rest is not to escape, it's to rest. And so really concentrating on that in the midst of the physical side of the health side.
Yeah. Really hard for me to,
that's the truth.
To rest without that escape.
Yeah. That's
a lot of the times
because you connect it to escape.
Well,
right.
In order for me to rest, I sometimes have to escape. My my thing is I play like Royal. I can never remember the name. It's like Royal something, and it's
king,
like
saving the king,
I'm saving the king, and it's a stupid iPad game. But it's like for me, like resting is playing that game. But I was just convicted because it feels
it's
like I'm actually escaping.
Yeah.
Because being still and quiet and not doing something is sometimes uncomfortable for me. And so it's like I tend to be like, oh, I don't know, it almost like hurts my body.
I get it. Anyway, moving on.
I'm just convicting myself over here. All right. So those fellow 7s, your emotional health, again, we skip out in the pain, and we can reframe that pain into something different, like almost too fast, to where it's like it's like, I mean, I tend to do this a lot. It's like, it's okay. Well, da 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 da. And it's like, and now it's like, I've turned it into a positive instead of actually like sitting in the grossness and the ick.
Okay. You know what's hard about that is because being married to a 7, I am not a reframer. I don't reframe. It's just, this is what it is. But something about your ability to reframe has opened my eyes to a different view of something. Now, if we're reframing just to avoid pain, that's different. But there is value sometimes to the reframe. There's some, so I'll say this. There's some positive aspects to a reframe that brings vibrant focus and color to a situation, all the while pain still being there. I guess I'm just saying I think value to it as well.
I think one of the 7 superpowers is the power of being able to reframe.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do think that there's a lot of value in it, but sometimes what we tend to do is we're reframing like past the discomfort and the ick of actually like that feels gross. And so like, I remember one of the first times I started going to therapy and I was like explaining, you know, like a situation and like what had happened. And she just goes, whoa, that is a lot.
Oh.
And I was like, well, no, it's actually okay. And she goes, no.
Oh, wow.
No. She's like, you need to sit in that.
Oh, wow.
And you need to feel that.
Wow.
And I was like, oh. And then it's like, and that was such
like when you stop and think about it, you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like,
it was such an impactful moment for me because all of a sudden I realized that it's like, I don't actually feel my negative feelings and emotions because I normally do reframe it or I think the best out of a scenario or situation or a person. And so I wasn't able to like actually like embrace the emotion because I think for a type 7, it's like, it's scary for us to actually like go into the emotion because we actually feel like we're never going to get out of it if we embrace a negative emotion. So it feels as though it's like, if I allow myself to feel that, I'm never going to be happy again. Like that is actually like the depths of how it feels.
Wow.
So we don't actually ever enter into that pain and discomfort. So an area for growth for emotionally for a type 7 is staying present with the discomfort.
Yeah, wow.
And then moving on to like the spiritual health, we love the joy, but we avoid like the depths of the pain and the sorrow, of even just like the story of like Jesus dying on the cross. I remember when we went to go see the Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ.
I don't know why. I don't feel like I've ever actually said that whole thing and it just felt weird. But it felt so deep and real that it's like it was hard for me and it was really challenging for me to actually feel into those feelings, and I still have a hard time with it even when I read the crucifixion when I'm doing my devos and stuff. I tend to kind of just like, okay, that's nice, okay, let's move on to the resurrection. And because it does feel so icky to me. And so a growth point for a type 7 is going to be the depth alongside of the delight. And I would even add in there like recognizing like the hard parts of being spiritual. Like it isn't always roses and butterflies, but it's like a spiritual journey is filled with peaks and valleys, and being okay with the valley.
No, that's a great way to end that. So for you 7s, just here's your reminder: you don't have to run from the pain to be okay. You can be okay in and through the pain. Yep. Moving on then.
All right. So the type 8, the challenger. All right. So for you type 8s, your physical health, you're going to really push your body hard.
Yep.
And you're going to kind of ignore the limits.
Yeah.
So like, what was it? P90X? Was
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. P90X, that was totally for you. Like, like 90 day hard. No. What is it?
Which one?
It's the hard program where it's like you have to like read for, you have to work out
75,
twice. 75 hard.
Yeah, hard 75. It's 75.
It's something hard.
Yeah.
Oh, then it's 75 hard.
Yeah.
And you like go all out for 75 days. Those are perfect programs for you, but you're also going to be like ignoring those limits. But a place for growth is really like honoring that vulnerability within the hard, and kind of just being transparent in those things. Like it's okay to like show that vulnerability part of you because you are human. You're not superhuman.
I mean, they are kind of, but anyway. Now, so for you 8s on the emotional side of things, health, you're going to experience a tendency that anger is going to cover up tenderness. Actually, their tenderness is kind of a superpower for them. What is it? Isn't it for Nate?
Yeah, if they can tap into like their sensitive side, like it really unlocks people because it's kind of unexpected for them.
100%. And then you're gonna have a challenge with softening. So you're gonna struggle to be soft. And so the alternative to that, the growth for you, is going to be letting trusted people see the real heart. Right. And so, get those trusted, get that group, your fan club that you trust, and then let them see the real you. And that's actually that's a strength, 100%.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the spiritual side of things, you are going to maybe have difficulty with trusting strength over surrender. So you're going to think that that's more important is to be strong over surrendering. And so you can probably guess what the growth would be out of that. That would be it's humility, right? It's power through humility. It's kind of like that's why you hear people encourage you if you're in an argument, lower your voice, right? You're in control, right? It's stay calm all the time because that actually is more strength than the alternative.
Kind of makes me creeps me out though.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me feel like it's like that's what like a murderer does, like right before they murder you.
So 8s. Just kidding.
See, I'm uncomfortable with things, so I'm like, let's jump.
Okay.
All right. For you type 8s, your reminder is really that strength and softness can coexist
What?
together.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I love the picture of like the strength for a type 8 because it's like I just picture this hand like gripping and it's like really it's like the beauty is it's like when they soften and they just kind of let go of the grip. Doesn't mean that you let go completely.
Right.
It just means that your grip softens.
Yeah, that's great. All right, 9s, we're finishing with you. You are the peacemaker. And so in the physical health pillar, you are going to experience low energy from disengagement. You may neglect movement, just kind of a slothful kind of way of going about your physicality. How you change that and how you start to grow in that is activate, physically activate, do some things, and then also being present for you, who you are, your moment, and really being present in that.
Yeah, I love that. For a type 9, and when we're talking about like that emotional health, their tendency is to really like suppress their anger.
Yeah.
And they can also kind of lose themselves in others. So it's like they're pushing down their anger, they're pushing down their own feelings and emotions.
Yep.
But then it's like when others are telling them about their experiences, it's like they're just kind of like they almost take that on and like they lose themselves in it.
Yep.
So really an area for growth when it comes to emotional health is naming your preferences. So it might be kind of like a fun challenge for you to like name all the things that you really enjoy and that you like and that you actually prefer.
Great challenge, actually.
I love that.
Jeez.
And then for the spiritual health for the type 9, they're really going to be like avoiding that inner conflict.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for them when it's like they're maybe reading about something like in the Bible and it's like confronting something that they maybe struggle with or deal with, like, you know, like gossip for like the women out there. I mean, I guess guys gossip too.
We have a problem with it too.
But it's like that might actually like rise up an inner conflict to where it's like you actually may like kind of like not embrace that, or you might be like, oh yeah, no, because you don't want there to be conflict between you and the Lord ultimately, because ultimately it's almost like it's like a disagreement. So you're out of alignment. So an area for growth for the type 9 is really showing up fully and being fully like you. Yeah. And also like I would challenge the type 9 to like be authentically you and sharing maybe what you're struggling with or what you're not knowing. Like have a really authentic prayer life. Yeah. Because if you can't be open and share your preferences with like a group of friends, you can absolutely do that with God.
I have to go back to the point that you were talking about where that from the spiritual side, that the having that inner conflict that would that then translate to your relationship with God being off. And so you are you saying that the 9 will just forget themselves in, okay, so they read something in scripture, it creates an inner conflict. It's such an interesting connection. I'm trying to, when you said, I was like, wait a second, that's a whole new realm that I wasn't thinking about for a 9, especially in spiritual things where now, so how does the 9 in that moment with spirit, like how is he then viewing his relationship with God?
Well, so they don't like conflict or like, because they really are, they're the peacemakers. They're wanting there to always be that harmony. And so so when something in scripture may cause that inner conflict within them, they're going to like either stuff it down, and it could even rise up that anger. Got it. Or they're just going to avoid it completely because they don't want to be out of harmony with the Lord.
It's it. Okay. No, that's it. So 9s. Thank you, honey. So that was just my own personal thing I wanted to learn. So as a reminder to you 9s, your presence matters. I love the growth in the spiritual side is is showing up, being authentically and truly you, bringing all of you, your desire, your wants, your needs, and not being afraid to bring them up. That is absolute strength. And so your presence matters, 9s.
Love it. So ultimately, we love all of you types.
Absolutely.
And we also, again, part of what we're doing here is we're trying to help everyone to kind of see like the areas that it's like we can grow in and the marriage benefits that the Enneagram really can bring into a relationship. Because when one spouse like really grows in health, like everyone benefits. Absolutely. Your work, your job, your marriage, your friendships, everything. Health is contagious in the best way.
Truly
so
is.
Start small. Like don't go all in. Don't go like to like, you know, I'm going to lose 40 pounds in 3 days because that's not realistic.
That's right.
It's going to be like starting small. One habit, one honest conversation, one pause, one small prayer at a time.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely great. And just, you know, before we, you know, end, I want to, if you're going all through this and you're like, okay, this is kind of good information, but you don't know your type, you don't know the type that you're on, reach out to us. Reach out to us. We have an assessment that we've built an assessment. We're going to have it on our website soon. But you can always reach out to us on social media, and we will get you resources so that you can at least find out what your type is, and then start to really understand and associate with a particular type that may give you a tool to really understanding yourself better. And so for this particular topic, maybe there's some questions that you can even ask yourself, like, what area of health do I avoid, right? Do you avoid your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, or when you learn your type, what does your type need more of right now? You would hate to be concentrating on something that you think in general is good, but you could have another aspect that you could be concentrating that really helps you because of your personality type. Or ask yourself, how might it show up in your marriage, your specific environment, your relationship? How might this kind of show up in that?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So remember, growth isn't instant, but it is really intentional. Like, you just don't all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, I just grew in this area. Isn't that cool?
It's so amazing.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. And remember, awareness is the first act of love for both you and your spouse.
Yeah. And remember, always progress over perfection.
Every time.
Like, we're not here to be perfect, like imperfectly married. We are just always, working through ourselves. We're always growing, we're always maturing, and we're always moving in a direction. And so we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And again, we have a mini course, Enneagram mini course coming out soon. And so stay tuned for that.
Excited.
Like, in the next few days, we should be launching it. And so we're really excited about that. And like my husband said earlier, we're going to be having our own Enneagram assessment. So which is free. It's a free resource to kind of get you close to your type. And then we have so much great resources on our website. We have blogs. We want you to have the best marriage in 2026.
And you can. And you absolutely can.
So make sure to stay tuned, stay posted. Our next episode is going to be a doozy.
Oh my gosh.
We are so excited because it's going to be so new, and it's going to be a fun new format. So make sure to come back next week and check that out, because we're so excited about the conversation that we have. And so we're super excited about all the stuff that's coming up. So make sure to tag us, like us, subscribe, all the good things, and comment, share, send this to someone that you love, and send it to a friend. We love you guys, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.